Part 88. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 874. This is too scary. Can a venerable genius compete for the first place in the genius level? Even if this happened in a small genius battle among the tornado forces, it would definitely be earth-shattering news. The eyes of the talented battlefield media who came to broadcast the news all shone brightly. This kind of news was definitely a big event that could shock the entire 132 sector. The last time such a thing was reported, it was hundreds of years ago, when a middle-ranking official, the top mid-level genius in the force, was made in the 132nd Star District. The top leaders of the tornado forces were even more excited. Quickly, hang up the phone with those media outlets. We will give you the broadcasting rights for free. We just need them to mention the name of our tornado force when they talk about Jia Yan. This is invisible propaganda. All the powerful men were shocked and stunned by Jia Yan's performance. Although they have always known that geniuses abound in the genius battlefield, there is not only a difference in status between geniuses, but also in the place where they live. Difference. The top geniuses are in the center of the genius battlefield, where the speed and environment of cultivation are the best, while the middle-level geniuses are also close to the central area. It is difficult to see middle-level geniuses in the periphery, let alone a top-level middle-level genius. What a genius! Jia Yan did not admit verbally that he was a top mid-level genius, but his performance was that of a top-level mid-level genius. He even seemed to have a unique charm compared to the top-level mid-level genius. Of course, no one regarded him as a high-level genius. Geniuses, because high-level geniuses, simply cannot come to this 132-star sector. Lord Jia Yan, you. When Jia Yan came off the court and passed by the area for venerable level players, several acquaintances of venerables gathered around him, but they found that it was meaningless to praise Jia Yan anymore, and they had said too many similar words before. Just a few words repeated. Seeing that they couldn't hold back their words, Jia Yan smiled and said, "Everyone, we can be considered friends. If you have any questions in the future, you can come to me. Thank you for your guidance and intelligence help before." Seeing what Jia Yan said, the leopard-headed monster nodded quickly, "Thank you, Lord Jia Yan." They moved out of the way, and Jia Yan successfully returned to his private player lounge. In fact, Jia Yan's endurance does not need to rest. Even if he fights with all his strength, he will not be exhausted so quickly. What's more, after these few battles, his strength has not been fully exerted, and his strength has not been lost much. But all of this is necessary. The strength he retains is to deal with emergencies. The ultimate goal of coming to the sector is to fight against the semi-star powerhouse. Everything now is a drill for confrontation. There were not many surprises in the next few battles, at least in Jia Yan's opinion. He wins again. This. It's player Jia Yan's victory again. He has won 4 consecutive victories. Next is the provisional first place with the same 4 wins. Player Jia Yan has indeed created a precedent for our tornado forces genius battle. As a venerable person, he actually made it to the finals of the next level of powerhouses. Regardless of whether he can win or not, he is destined to be remembered by our force forever. Accompanied by the passionate commentary from the commentator on the high platform, Jia Yan walked off the stage again, and this time he won again without any surprises. In this battle, Jia Yan showed more than 70% to 80% of his strength, and it seemed that he defeated his opponent with great difficulty. Jia Yan. Jia Yan. On the entire viewing platform, some young venerable monsters turned their admiration for Jia Yan into cheers, and their voices were deafening, as if they were going to overturn the entire zenith. Jia Yan didn't feel too flattered, he just walked to the lounge indifferently. It seems that this first step has opened up the situation. In the future, I will go to another place where geniuses fight. It will pave the way. In the lounge, Jia Yan was thinking silently. He didn't want to win the next match. After all, as a new outsider, it was better not to expose his strength too much. But when he saw the champion's reward before, he was immediately moved. Because among this reward, there is a small amount of star core body. The effect of taking star core body is still irresistible to Jia Yan. If he can take more, his strength will improve faster. Since it is useful, he will not let go of this reward. Okay, the exciting time has come. In this second level battle between the tornado forces, will the final winner be the biggest dark horse in this competition, His Excellency Jia Yan, or the King Lusa? We will wait and see. Now we invite two major players, Jia Yan and Lu Sa. Amid the cheers of the audience, Jia Yan and Narasa took the stage respectively. Lusa is the king in this battle of strong masters. It is also the tornado force who spent a lot of money to hire a genius second master from the top genius force in the 132th sector. He was originally invited here to use his. The person who earned the reputation of the tornado force did not expect that Jia Yan would appear. Jia Yan, I have seen your battles, but I think your strength is not of much use to me. I hope you want me to admit defeat, right? Why are all the geniuses in your 132nd sector like this? Is it that I, Jia Yan, am so unpopular with you? Jia Yan interrupted the words of the puppy-like monster on the other side of the battle platform. He looked a little impatient. It is true that every opponent felt that Jia Yan could not defeat the opponent, but every time he was slapped in the face by Jia Yan. This time the opponent said so again. Jia Yan felt a little helpless because his strength was so unmatched by his opponent. Do you like it? In fact, I don't blame him, it's really because Jia Yan's brainwave power is too weak. Generally speaking, those who are not at the peak of the Supreme Master are not even capable of breaking out of the waves in front of a genius Sigwan strongman who is also considered powerful. But now Jia Yan has defeated the genius Sigwan again and again. The strong man has also come to the front of the most promising top genius among the strong Guantiantian strong men this time. It is strange that the other party would be happy. Well, since you are asking for trouble, then go ahead and do it. I hope you don't think I didn't hold back. When the opponent heard what Jia Yan said, he immediately understood that Jia Yan would never admit defeat, so he calmed down and prepared to fight. Sulfuric acid. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure like an electric shot had already arrived in front of the strong man, and in an instant, the two sides exchanged hands. What a speed! Lazena had a puppy-like appearance and was about 200 meters in size. After being attacked by the figure, his paws blocked it and slid back several meters. There are faster ones. That figure was of course Jia Yan, and what he showed at this time was his speed advantage. With a bang, Jia Yan's figure disappeared from the spot again. In this genius battle, Jia Yan's combat effectiveness has made great progress. He used his learning ability to quickly comprehend the advantages and special fighting methods of many strong men in this genius battle. Moreover, in previous battles, attempts were made to combine these tactics. Although there were also tactics that failed and were not effective, there were some that were practical and suitable for him. These attempts and combinations unknowingly and rapidly improved his combat effectiveness. He is much stronger now than when he fought with Hieraeo. Puff puff. Bang bang bang. Amidst the violent collisions, the two figures quickly clashed in the space. Jia Yan became more and more excited as he fought, while Nalu Sa became more and more frightened. The reason was none other than that he discovered Jia Yan's extraordinary strength during the battle. This Jia Yan seems to be holding on to a lot of strength. Could it be that he hasn't tried his best? I've already given up 99% of my strength. Lu Sa felt shocked. After observing Jia Yan's strength before, his understanding of Jia Yan was that he had never seen this flying monster before. It had a strange charm, and there was a faint feeling during the battle that even he was afraid of. but he didn't expect to actually fight against him. He immediately discovered that the opponent's strength was still hidden. Presumably that feeling of fear comes from the other party's hidden strength. Puff puff. Lusa clashed with Jia Yan's claws again, and Lu Sa was shocked to see a crack in his claws. When my claws collide with other strong men, my claws usually win. But Jia Yan's feet are actually stronger than my claws. He didn't believe it and bumped into Jia Yan's outstretched forefoot again. Bang! The protruding claws shattered violently, turning into pieces of solid fragments that spattered in all directions. So strong. Lusa took several steps back, then stared at his claws that were torn to pieces by Jia Yan's front foot, shocked and in disbelief. How about it, Lusa, do you admit defeat? Jia Yan was also shaken back about a kilometer by the force of the counterquake. After all, his strength was not comparable to that of the other party, but in this collision, he definitely had the upper hand. You want me to admit defeat? Lu Sa was startled. Then a surge of anger filled his heart. Bastard! Jia Yan, your overall strength is still weaker than mine. Don't think that just because your feet are hard, you are stronger than me. Just use your feet to hurt me if you can. If you want me to hurt you, it's not easy. Seeing that the opponent still didn't believe that he would lose, Jia Yan shook his head helplessly, and then he used his space talent on Lusa for the first time. Puff. The next moment, Jia Yan, who was constantly improving in the battle, actually traveled through space and arrived behind Lu Sa, and then struck out with one blow, stabbing one of his thighs. The bloody scene appeared in front of the audience, but it aroused even greater noise in the entire venue. How is it? Do you admit defeat now? Jia Yan's body appeared behind Lu Sa. Although the opponent had not completely lost his combat effectiveness, he did not believe that Lu Sa would fight back desperately in this situation. I give up. Feeling the extremely severe pain in her legs, Lu Sa murmured. He couldn't believe that he would lose in this battle between tornado forces and geniuses. Moreover, he still lost to a venerable person, which made the originally self-proclaimed powerful genius unable to accept it. Jia Yan, what race are you? He asked unwillingly. Happy New Year, thank you to the book friend. Remember to look back for the 500 starting coin reward, and the book friend touch your pocket. No money for the reward. In addition, congratulations to the brothers of Bird Chewing for being promoted to the top 10 in the fan list. Thank you brother supported, wish you a happy new year. Mobile phone users please browse and read for a better reading experience. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 875. My race? You wouldn't know it even if I told you. Have you ever heard of the Mosquito clan? Jia Yan glanced at Lusa lightly, and then revealed his race without having anything to hide. If the other party wants to know the true situation of his Mosquito clan, he will have to cross the ocean and go to the earth. Who knows how far away to find out, and what he will see is only one that has shrunk by millions. Twice as many blood-sucking mosquitoes. Mosquito clan? Okay, I remember, Jia Yan, you are very powerful, but in my 132-star district, there are sub-level experts who are stronger than me, and there are also sub-level experts who are more talented than me. Hope you have a pleasant stay in our sector. The meaning of what Lu Sa said to Jia Yan was very simple, that is, Jia Yan could not do whatever he wanted in this 132-star area. But he forgot that Jia Yan was not a strong person in the second level at all, but a sage. Originally, a genius who came from another star region should be dealt with by a venerable genius. When the venerable is no longer good, only the next level strong person can go up, but now Lusa has positioned Jia Yan as a second level genius. Haha, I hope your 132-star district can make me happy. Jia Yan didn't say anything harsh, he just said this. Lu Sa took another deep look at Jia Yan before flying out of the battlefield. Immediately afterwards, outside the entire battlefield, This reached the peak of the noise. Jia Yan won, he won the first place in the second level of the entire tornado force. This is too exaggerated. Just a venerable person actually won the first place among the powerful people in our tornado force. Even a mid-level genius is unlikely to be able to do this. Could it be that the strong players in this session are too weak? You're not weak anymore. Didn't you see that, Lusa? Even in our entire 132-star area, he can still be ranked among the top 100 strong people in the second level. Such powerful strong people in the second level have all been defeated, which shows that this Jia Yan is truly a heaven-defying venerable, and he has not even reached the peak of venerable status. It's scary, it's really scary. Jia Yan's victory represented the end of this genius war for the entire tornado force, but the repercussions he caused went far beyond that. A venerable person was actually able to defeat a well-known sub-level genius from the 132nd star district. Although this incident occurred in an unknown event in the Starry district, it still caused a huge sensation. The tornado forces also attracted a lot of attention as they wished, greatly increasing their visibility. Hello, Mr. Jia Yan, I wonder if you would like to have a chat with my tornado force? We will not do anything unfriendly to you. When Jia Yan enjoyed countless attentions, as well as the fearful looks of many venerables and strong men from Sigwan, and came down from the stage, a strong man from the tornado force came to Jia Yan in a flattering manner. Jia Yan recognized him. He seemed to be the lizard monster who was serving beside Shang Ren, the well-known mid-level genius in the 132-star district. However, he did not expect that he would come to receive him in the blink of an eye. Looking from a distance, I saw that Shang Ren was being received by another venerable person. When his eyes glanced this way, he looked a little unnatural. But he didn't dare to look at Jia Yan with hatred. I'm very happy. I just want to try the high-grade tornado fish from your human tornado force. I wonder if I can taste it? Jia Yan smiled and agreed. To be honest, among this force, if the other party wants to take action, they can just do it directly. There is no need to be so small-minded. Besides, there is no dispute between the two parties, so Jia Yan agreed simply. Next, the reward for first place was announced, and Jia Yan received a star core body and some miscellaneous materials. There is also a first place monster at the venerable level, but he doesn't even have the courage to say hello to Jia Yan. Everyone knows that Jia Yan's true strength is a venerable, and if he wants the venerable's first place reward, in fact, he could easily defeat the number 1 venerable, but the venerable was afraid that Jia Yan would say anything to challenge him. Of course, Jia Yan would not be that boring. He still looked down upon the rewards of the venerable level. This time, the Star Core reward for the first place in the Guan dynasty is no less than the one I received when I won the first place among the powerful people in Urshan. It is slightly more. After Jia Yan saw the Star Core body, he was pleasantly surprised to find that the number was more than what he got last time. In fact, it's normal to think about it. Although the genius battle held by the tornado force is not large in scale, it is a reward for the strong people in the second level after all. After all, it must be more rewarding than the venerable ones from the Tian force. Lord Jia Yan, come with me. Several adults from our tornado force are waiting for you. The strong man from Sigwan who greeted Jia Yan waited for Jia Yan to get the reward and then invited him to go somewhere. Jia Yan showed no resistance and followed the opponent's footsteps and moved away quickly. Their figures looked extremely free and easy under the gaze of the entire audience. Jia Yan himself was a powerful genius. The powerful person in the secondary level of the tornado force had a very high status in the tornado force, and he could be regarded as looking down on all living beings. And this creates the tallness of Jia Yan and his image. Master Jia Yan, your talent is indeed extremely powerful. Lusa is considered the top sage in our 132-star district. But with your strength, you can't even sustain a few moves. I guess the strength is not too difficult for you to solve. I admire you. I'm kidding, senior, your strength is not much worse than those who are strong in the second level, or even Nalu SA. Senior, there is no need to be self-effacing, I know that your strength is definitely not much weaker than mine. Along the way, the two monsters were flying and saying a few words. Their speed was very fast, and it didn't take long for them to reach the center of the Tornado Force's planet. There is a large metal building here, and there are some strong men flying around in these buildings. Most of them are Venerables and Sigwan strong men, but half-star strong men can also be seen faintly. The Tornado Force is really powerful, there are so many half-star experts. When Jia Yan saw the number of half-star strong men in this Tornado Force, he felt a little confused. The 132 star district is indeed the most powerful low-level star district in this vast starry sky. This Tornado Force, which is completely unknown in the 132 star district, actually senses that there are 6 and 7 half-star level experts here. Master Jia Yan, let's go down. The Sigwan strongman who greeted Jia Yan smiled proudly, and then descended with Jia Yan. The two came to the entrance of a building. This is the entrance to the underground command post of our Tornado Force. Inside is the core strongman of our Tornado Force. The strongman Guan said a few words to Jia Yan that time and then passed a series of procedures. After identity authentication, the other party took Jia Yan into the underground building of the building. Jia Yan didn't remember how many turns he passed and how many rope bridges he passed. When he finally arrived at a more open place, he saw only one room in front of him. He secretly looked around, and then saw that there seemed to be a force blocking the space in this space, but Jia Yan was not too worried, because his space talent allowed him to use the gaps in the space to leave. After entering this space, he saw a group of semi-star level experts gathered together. This group of strong people ranges from strong to weak, and from short to tall. There were more of them than Jia Yan had expected, there were actually 11. Your Excellency Jia Yan, congratulations on winning the first place among our Tornado Force's genius fighters. In the center of these 11.5-star powerhouses, a dinosaur-like monster whose energy fluctuations were stronger than those of the other half-star powerhouses said this to Jia Yan calmly. Originally, they thought that Jia Yan would be a little shocked or timid after seeing so many semi-star level experts, but now Jia Yan's expression turned out to be calm. Immediately, this group of semi-star powerhouses all concluded that Jia Yan was the brainchild of some large genius force. It's just that such a genius, they don't know what kind of genius force it will come from. Is it an elementary and intermediate force, or a middle-level genius force? Thank you to the Tornado Forces. I wonder who summoned me. Do you have anything to ask the juniors? Jia Yan nodded lightly to the monster in the center, his expression neither humble nor arrogant. It's nothing. It's just that our Tornado Force wants to make a small deal with you. I wonder if you are willing to represent our Tornado Force to participate in a genius event in half a month. What about the battle? If you are willing, no matter what your ranking is, you will be given a gift equivalent to winning the first place in the next level. After hearing what the other party said, Jia Yan's demeanor changed. Oh? Do you want me to participate in the genius battle? Jia Yan's expression became slightly thoughtful. He understood the meaning of these words, which was to make Jia Yan a foreign aid to the Tornado Force. There is nothing wrong with participating in a genius battle, and the reason why the other party wants Jia Yan's help must be very simple. Looking at the Tornado Force's eagerness to gain fame, you know that they are doing it for fame. But what are the benefits of Jia Yan participating? Not only is the star core provided, but also combat experience is gained, so why not do it? Of course, if your power is willing to invite me, I won't be able to fight on behalf of your power. Jia Yan smiled. Thank you, Your Excellency. Jia Yan, the half-star powerhouse in the middle showed a happy expression. The surrounding half-star powerhouses are also extremely happy. Their Tornado Forces have been working hard to increase their reputation in recent years. The reason is that they have increased their number of half-star powerhouses by several, but their status does not meet the requirements. So they are all trying to gain fame, and even spend a lot of money to invite strong people to participate in the genius battle of the tornado forces. Jia Yan's appearance is good news for them. He has gained a lot of fame before. If the geniuses from other places are willing to help the tornado forces participate in the genius war in the future, then it will be a huge help. This kind of thing is normal in the 132 sector, and every force has used it. Next, Jia Yan discussed the details with the other party, and not long after, Jia Yan flew out of the building. Mobile phone users, please browse and read for a better reading experience. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 876. After Jia Yan left, in the space under the building, a half-star strong man asked the leader next to him with some distrust. Sir, will Jia Yan obediently fight for us? Don't let us pay for it, but he deliberately loses. That would be embarrassing. Don't worry. I know this kind of genius very well. He comes to our sector just to fight. Even without our invitation, he will fight through genius battles one by one. We invite him just to add some extra income to him. He deserves to win. He will work hard to win every battle. After the supreme leader of the tornado force said these words, the surrounding half-star colleagues all seemed to suddenly realize. They all regard Jia Yan as a mid-level star talent who comes from outside to train. Such geniuses come to the 132-star area to train. They will not let anyone win a battle. Also, there must be a super strong person behind this genius. Otherwise, no medium power will let such a genius go out and take risks alone. We can't offend him. We must give out all the promised rewards. I understand. Jia Yan flew out of the central command post of the tornado forces. In fact, he was far from being as calm as he seemed on the surface. His strength is not yet enough to escape without a trace of injury in front of a group of half-star strong men, so Jia Yan was still a little nervous when he was surrounded by so many half-star strong men just now. Fortunately, the other party didn't have much ill intentions, so he agreed to the other party's request and soon gained his freedom. It seems that they still suspect that I am a genius of some big force. I have to use my identity and background well, and I hope that no one will know my identity and reveal my secret to them. At least until I become stronger, don't there are bad actors like this, otherwise it will be too big. Jia Yan pondered for a while, and then his eyes flashed with relief. His strength has progressed very quickly. Jia Yan believes that he can quickly improve his strength in the 132-star areas. When he is strong enough, he will not be afraid even if he encounters some dangers. Go find that ghost-like monster. I want to know more about his tactics that can win battles with words. Jia Yan turned in one direction, and then slowly flew away in the direction of a certain existence that he felt in his heart. The entire tornado star was just that big, and he quickly reached a certain location he felt. Master Jia Yan, you are indeed here. Please come down and visit me. A voice reached Jia Yan's ears. Jia Yan saw a building that resembled a small palace below. Being able to build such a building on the tornado planet where every inch of land was so valuable, it seemed that his target was living a good life. He went down to the ground, and sure enough, a floating figure on the ground was waiting there. Master Jia Yan, you are indeed special. In such a short period of time, you have become so powerful. You are so powerful. When I saw Jia Yan for the first time, this floating figure suddenly came to Jia Yan, taking a nap at his appearance, and then he was amazed. You can see the improvement of my strength so easily. There is indeed something unique about this ghost. Jia Yan was startled and immediately became more interested in this powerful ghost. At the invitation of the other party, Jia Yan entered the residence of the powerful ghost. Even though the outside world is a lively planet, after entering the other party's antique building, the sounds outside suddenly disappeared, and the surroundings were filled with the fragrance of trees. Good place. Jia Yan couldn't help but praise it after taking a few glances. Haha, I earned this all by relying on this mouth. If others want to give me money, I can't refuse it. The strong ghost man laughed happily. I want to ask, what exactly is what you are saying? Also, what does it mean when people call you a strong talker? It was not easy to ask for advice in the ring before, so I bother you this time. I just want you to answer your questions. Jia Yan straightened his expression and then asked. Haha, I knew you wanted to ask this. Mr. Jia Yan, when I met you before, I had long forgotten what I said. This is the innate ability of my family. In fact, there is not much mystery. It's just that we can see the past of the other person through some clues on his body, and we don't know how to explain this ability ourselves. Even after seeing the past of the subject, we will soon forget it if we say it. The powerful ghost man didn't hide much and directly revealed his talents, abilities, and weaknesses. So, you can see the opponent's past through the traces on his body. Jia Yan was stunned, a little surprised that there was such a strange ability in this universe. He couldn't figure it out. When this powerful ghost man fought with him before, he could actually see his parents, and maybe even the earth. If it is through his body, what is the principle? Your Excellency Jia Yan, I know what you are thinking, but don't ask me. I really don't know how to explain it. In short, you have left a mark of the past on your body. I can see it, but after seeing it once, I will forget it myself, especially the places I have looked at, and the traces will disappear. Other similar talents will not be able to see your past, nor will they know your strength and moves. Oh? You still have this kind of power? Jia Yan was finally stunned. That's right, Your Excellency Jia Yan, this is how I get my money, because although there are few beings with the same innate power as mine, the universe is so big, and the rare numbers add up, there are many monsters with my innate talents. Many strong men want to in the future, when I encounter a strong person of the same type as me, any flaws will be revealed. I will be asked to read his past, and then those traces will disappear. Anyway, I don't remember it. If they give the money, this serious problem will never be gone. So I earn a lot. The powerful ghost man explained to Jia Yan while floating. In this case, I don't know what your charges are. Please help me look over it. After hearing what the other party said, Jia Yan said without any hesitation. Okay, I still have some abilities. I'll tell you about them later. Let's talk about the conditions first. What I want is the reward you just received for being the first strong person in the second level. It's called bluestone eyes. This kind of material, it will enhance the talents of my family. Bluestone eyes. This is for you. Without any hesitation, Jia Yan gave the other party a blue stone among the rewards he had just received. It can be seen that this powerful ghost is very happy. Haha, okay, then I'll start. But it will take some time for this to fade. You can play games while waiting. I have a very fun game console here. Jia Yan had no choice but to argue with the ghost and monster for a while, and then the ghost and monster stood still. He felt a force slowly sweep through his body. Jia Yan can feel that this power is not too strong, but it is extremely strange, especially in his opinion. He currently has no effective way to block this ability. Your Excellency Jia Yan, I am slowly scanning your past and erasing it at the same time. I also saw some interesting things, but it's a pity that I forgot about them after reading them. A pair of eyes of the ghost monster seemed to have rays of light shooting out, sweeping across Jia Yan's body was extremely hot. After a long time, Jia Yan felt that a few days had passed. The shooting sensation stopped. Your Excellency Jia Yan, the shooting is completed, but I left an extremely important message. I need to tell you now, otherwise I will forget it immediately. The ghosts and monsters seemed to be thinking about Jia Yan's past while talking hurriedly. He was in a bad state, as if it was extremely difficult to erase the past of a strong man. Say it. Seeing him like this, Jia Yan said nervously. Although Jia Yan didn't pay much attention to the news told by the ghost and monster, the ghost and monster was indeed mysterious and might actually say something that would have an impact on Jia Yan. But what Jia Yan didn't expect was that what the other party said actually made him stunned. Your Excellency Jia Yan, you have been pursuing your own power, but you have obtained this power once. Although the situation was special at that time, you have forgotten it now. I feel sorry for you. The powerful ghost man was teasing Jia Yan while enduring the feeling of being in poor condition. My own power. Jia Yan was stunned. Jia Yan was a little confused about his own strength. Jia Yan knows that a large part of his current strength comes from that senior. Without his inheritance, Jia Yan would still be a genius. Relying on the talent of the evolved beast, he can come in this genius battlefield. He is destined to be a somewhat unique mid-level genius. Of course, if this mid-level genius really explodes in strength, he may be able to kill enemies beyond the level, but it is impossible to reach the current level of strength of Jia Yan. Jia Yan understood that he could not surpass his predecessors by relying on the strength of his predecessors, but he didn't know how. Have I ever obtained my own power? This ghost monster must not be an ordinary thing. Maybe this power will be something as powerful as the inheritance from my predecessors. But have I ever obtained it? Why don't I remembered? Jia Yan was suddenly confused and fell into deep thought. The ghost monster seemed to be getting more confused. He shook his head and said, Master Jia Yan, what I saw is very vague. I can only give you some hints. This thing is very powerful. In the future, it may even be as powerful as the direction you are majoring in now, and it may even exceed it. What are you talking about? Jia Yan interrupted him. After the ghost master was interrupted, his words stopped for a moment, and it seemed that all the images were driven away. His expression became dejected. Yes, and extremely domineering, black, extremely black. His words became incoherent. Black. This word was like a bolt of lightning, lighting up Jia Yan's heart. His originally prostrate body immediately stood up. This volume is over. Thanks to the Yes Yang Chen book friend for the 500 starting coin reward, thanks to the Remember to Look Back book friend for the 500 starting coin reward, and thanks to the I Am a Mentally Retarded book friend for the 500 starting coin reward. Happy New Year, mobile phone users. Please browse and read for a better reading experience. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 877. After hearing the words of the powerful ghost, Jia Yan felt as if a meteor passed through his heart, illuminating his thinking. He figured it out. I know what it is, and sure enough, it's black. Haha, this idea did come up under special circumstances, because it was not the discovery of the real body at all. Jia Yan's heart surged with torrents, and he immediately understood what the other party was talking about. Black hole. When he used a clone to fight, he experienced the experience of using a black hole. At that time, he thought about using black holes to continue fighting in the future. But because of habit, he never considered that his real body would also try to use the power of the black hole. But now that I think about it, it's simply too stupid. Great, black hole, huh? Jia Yan nodded, and then saw a daze in the eyes of the powerful ghost in front of him. He understood that the other person had forgotten this memory. Since you have forgotten it, you cannot mention it again, otherwise if you say it and the other party hears it, maybe he will be able to remember it. Thanks for your help. What you need is right here. Jia Yan took out the bluestone eye that the opponent said he needed before. It looked like a bluestone, but as long as the brainwave power was released on it, it would be completely absorbed, and he felt that there would be some power on the stone, so he fought back to the top of the head. Jia Yan didn't know the function of the stone, and he didn't feel that it was of any great use to him. In this case, it was not bad to use it as a fee. Haha, I am wrong, Xian who can help you. The strong ghost man put the stone away. Not long after, Jia Yan flew back to the city from the mansion of this powerful ghost. The universe is so vast that it is really full of wonders. I still can't understand the talent possessed by this powerful ghost, but I think it must not be some magic or something. There is always some scientific basis. But now I still don't understand it. I can't understand it. Jia Yan thought a lot about the talent of this powerful ghost, but he could never think of a suitable reason to explain it. In short, he understood that the talent of the other party was extremely terrifying. He helped me remove traces of the past. I hope it will be useful. He also helped me see a future direction, which is also a good reward. Behind Jia Yan's flying figure, the ghostly strong man looked at Jia Yan who was leaving. Jia Yan? It's interesting. His talent is indeed not that of an ordinary genius. Unfortunately, he can't be used by me. The powerful ghost glanced at the direction Jia Yan was leaving, with a strange light in his eyes, and then shook his head. That's all, there is an endless stream of geniuses. This Jia Yan will not be the first, nor will he be the last. How many of them can truly reach a high level? This clone is created just to experience the life of an ordinary monster. Come with a normal heart, a normal heart. He spoke, and then returned to his mansion. Jia Yan didn't know what the ghost and monster behind him said. If he heard it, he might get goosebumps all over his body, because this strong ghost and monster seemed to be far more than what he saw. Jia Yan flew all the way and arrived above the starry sky. Your Excellency Jia Yan, I wonder where you are going. A voice from the semi-star powerhouse came from the underground of the tornado force. The voice seemed a little surprised by Jia Yan's departure. I forgot to tell you that I want to leave for a few days. Don't worry, I will definitely come back in 10 days. I wonder if 5 days are enough for you to arrange and transport, Jia Yan responded to the other party. The voice of the half-star powerhouse below seemed to ponder for a moment before he answered affirmatively. If you can come back within 10 days, we will still have time to go to the place where the genius will fight. I hope you will not break the contract. Don't worry, I won't miss the time. After Jia Yan finished speaking, he flew into the universe. There seemed to be some regret in the voice. Only now did they realize that they had too few restrictions on Jia Yan, and they were not allowed to use force. Otherwise, it didn't matter whether there was a strong person behind the other party. Even if there wasn't, Jia Yan only had to help them fight. If they don't contribute, they will do no good. Of course, Jia Yan didn't really want to break the contract or anything. He flew all the way, and traveled through the sky twice, reaching the starry sky tens of millions of kilometers away from the tornado star. Then in the starry sky, he saw a huge flying vehicle, parked quietly here. It's the Edissa. With such a huge aircraft like the Edissa parked here, no one from the tornado force can find it. After all, the starry sky is too big and the distance is tens of millions of kilometers. As long as the Edissa turns off the engine, it will be considered a genius battle. Even the domain's technology cannot detect it. Jia Yan sighed, and then entered the interior of the Edissa directly without any pause. Master, I can finally speak. The battle just now was really fun. Those few times Guanqiang and that Shangren dared to look down on you, but you ended up beating them into pig heads. It was so interesting. As soon as he entered the interior of the Aditha, a small light and shadow mosquito appeared, flying around Jia Yan's head. Haha, these are just sub-level powerhouses. I didn't come to this region to fight with sub-level powerhouses. In the following time, I will try my best to challenge half-star level powerhouses. Jia Yan smiled. Master, where are you going now? If you want to fight, don't forget that there is a semi-stellar opponent. I have detected him now with the Edissa. He is not far away. Editha said something that made Jia Yan startled. The lovely Dasha quickly continued, but if the master doesn't want to see him, I can also activate the jump power of the Editha. He can't chase him worthy. Jia Yan was startled for a moment, and then finally remembered who Edisha was talking about. The existence that can make even Jia Yan unable to detect it must be a half-star powerhouse, and in this sector, there is only one half-star powerhouse who has murderous intentions towards Jia Yan. Behind the earthworm monster that he killed was the half-star strong man. As expected, the half-star powerhouse was behind Jia Yan. He had been chasing Jia Yan all the way before. Although he was able to do it so that even Jia Yan couldn't easily detect it, Jia Yan's several subspace jumps made him pay a price before he was able to lock Jia Yan in embarrassment. Chase to the Edissa. Now that he saw that Jia Yan had such a huge warship, he immediately understood that there was no chance of him making a sneak attack. Jia Yan, come out. Just when Jia Yan realized that there was someone behind him, the voice of this half-star powerhouse also came out. Jia Yan released his brainwave power and soon felt that a huge warship about 1 kilometer long was not far away from the Edisha. And the brainwave power comes from this battleship. Feeling a sense of familiarity with this strong man's brainwave power, Jia Yan suddenly smiled. Your Excellency, you are following me all the way. What do you want to do? When Jia Yan heard that the other party asked him to disembark from the Edissa, he naturally would not obey the request. He just made a sarcastic voice in the battleship and asked the other party. He asked this, and of course he knew in his heart that the other party was here to rob and kill him on the way. Jia Yan, you ask questions knowingly. Kill the genius of my power. I don't care if you are a genius from an alien area or not, I will kill you. Otherwise, where is the face of my power? Where is the face of a semi-star level powerhouse like me? If you are wise, please get off the battleship obediently, or I will launch the battleship's main gun, and your shabby battleship like this will not be able to stop it at all. The half-star powerhouse spoke to Jia Yan in a gloomy tone. Haha, I am the genius who killed your force. I will not mention that there are casualties in the game. I will not say anything about rationality. In short, I will put my words here. I can get off the battleship, but I hope you can get off the battleship too. Let's have a fair fight. Otherwise, let's fight with battleships. I still don't believe it, but my battleship will definitely defeat you. Jia Yan spoke indifferently to the other party inside the Edissa. Bold, this sentence actually angered the half-star powerhouse in the battleship even more. You, a venerable person, think that you can fight with a star and a half just because you defeated some rubbish second-level experts. This is simply ridiculous. There is no comparison between my strength and the second-level experts. You actually want to challenge me, are you looking for death? You want me to die anyway, what do you think? If you don't dare, let's fight with battleships, Jia Yan said lazily. Humph, I don't necessarily have confidence in the battleship. Since you want to get off the battleship and seek death, then come on. The other party felt that Jia Yan was looking for death, and then a terrifying huge figure slowly flew out of the battleship. He is not afraid that Jia Yan will use the gunfire of the battleship to attack him now, because a strong man of this level has the ability to deal with technological weapons. He thinks that even if Jia Yan uses the gunfire of the Editha to attack him, he will also able to cope. Of course, Jia Yan had no intention of bombarding him with artillery fire. In fact, the Edisha has not recovered yet. If artillery fire is used rashly, the effect of the attack will not be mentioned, but only the damaged parts of the Edisha will be damaged. Maybe the good cities will expand even more. Besides, he originally wanted to fight a half-star strong man. This half-star strong man who was just a little stronger than Bai Wangfu was the one he needed to fight the most right now. The opportunity was rare, so how could he possibly do it? Escape. Adisha, I'll come as soon as I go. Jia Yan said something to the little mosquito of light and shadow, and then jumped out of the Edissa. Above the starry sky, the semi-stellar powerhouse was wearing equipment and shining golden light. He looked about 300 meters tall, like a squatting giraffe, with a long neck but short legs and feet. Jia Yan, you are actually stupid enough to show up. It seems you are too conceited. A genius venerable wants to challenge a genius half-star. Do you think you will succeed? The giraffe monster looked at Jia Yan indifferently, with hatred flashing in his eyes. Mobile phone users, please browse and read for a better reading experience. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 878. As a semi-star powerhouse, at the most extreme level, he is the top combat power in the entire genius battlefield. At the least level, he is also a pillar-like existence in his own power. But for such a high-status being, Jia Yan actually killed the junior he brought to participate in the genius battle under his nose. This strong man cannot tolerate this kind of behavior. More importantly, the other party is just a venerable man. He, a half-star strong man, cannot accept this kind of insult. Jia Yan, where is the strong man you are protecting behind? Let him come out. The giraffe monster looked at the starry sky indifferently, and then said with a hint of fear in his eyes. Yes, he was not afraid of Jia Yan's own strength, but what he was afraid of was the master that might exist behind Jia Yan. As a half-star, he understands that in this genius battlefield, the gap between half-stars is as big as heaven and earth. His strength is not comparable to that of a truly powerful half-star. It would only take 1 or 2 moves to defeat him, so now that he thinks about the possible strong man behind Jia Yan, he still feels wary. The strong man behind it? After hearing what the other party said, Jia Yan smiled slightly. Senior, there is really no strong person behind me, otherwise I would have let him come out and kill you directly. Sure enough, there is no strong person to protect you. After hearing Jia Yan's words, the other party couldn't hide the joy in his eyes. He dared to show up before because he judged from Jia Yan's behavior after following Jia Yan all the way. After all, there is a difference between being protected by a strong person and not being protected by a strong person. This is why he dared to appear provocative. Jia Yan's true confidence. That's right, I don't have a strong person to protect me. If you want to fight, then fight. Jia Yan replied directly to the strong man, and then he didn't say anything. Since he was already at a disadvantage, he would be a fool not to take action first. He no longer hid his strength, and then suddenly moved his feet and entered the subspace. How dare you attack me first? You are so bold, my lord. When the giraffe monster saw Jia Yan, he took action without hesitation, and suddenly there was some anger in his expression. After that, he didn't lose his mind too much, and directly aimed at a certain dark direction in the universe and attacked. A bright light exploded across the starry sky, and in this place where flames should not have appeared, a collision of light similar to a small sun erupted. It turned out that in the empty starry sky area, it was Jia Yan who had protruded there. As soon as he appeared, he was directly detected by his opponent before he had time to attack the opponent, and he was hit in the head instead. So strong. As soon as Jia Yan's forefoot touched the opponent, a surprised expression appeared on Mosquito's head. This giraffe monster was indeed much stronger than Bibi Huangfu. When Jia Yan touched it, he immediately felt great pressure on his front feet. If the blue defense hadn't appeared in time, it would have been broken. His body flew backwards for several kilometers, but before he could release the force, he felt a terrifying sense of power in front of him. It turned out that the giraffe monster was not surprised at all that Jia Yan could block his own blow, but instantly entered a fighting state. After seeing Jia Yan retreat after the blow, he directly chased after him and launched another attack in mid-air. Come! His forelegs were not long, but they were in proportion to his body. Now that a foot was hitting hard, Jia Yan instantly felt that the foot was like a long stick. It seems to be drawn towards myself. This monster is a physical fighting monster. The physical bodies of such beings are relatively powerful. Through this confrontation, Jia Yan quickly analyzed the direction of the opponent's strength. At this moment, after seeing the foot attack, he did not dare to fight head-on. Instead, he used the power of his brain waves to control himself in the air and was counterattacked. The shocked body moved directly sideways. Going head-to-head with a semi-star level expert of the physical training system, even if Jia Yan had a blue defense as his foundation, would be a mindless act. This time, he managed to avoid the opponent's attack again, and the giraffe monster finally started to marvel. Jia Yan, you actually concealed such a huge power in the previous genius battle. How can you, just a venerable person, avoid my attack? He was a little surprised and struck out again, and with this blow, Jia Yan directly entered the subspace. Although he was somewhat affected by the strange force of the attack and was shaken unsteadily in the subspace for a long time, he still escaped. This blow. Jia Yan had no intention of answering the other party's questions, but the strong giraffe still had some energy to move his head. After a few seconds, he suddenly became shocked, and his expression was filled with horror. Is it possible? You are not a middle-level genius at all, but a high-level genius? I. The giraffe monster seemed to have just thought of this at this moment, looking at Jia Yan with some horror as he jumped from space to dozens of kilometers away, with an expression full of disbelief at this moment. He couldn't believe his idea. Jia Yan was a high-level genius? As a half-star powerhouse in the 132th sector, he has been in the genius battlefield for so long and has never seen a high-level genius, because that kind of genius only operates in the center of the genius battlefield. Will you come to this remote star district 132? But now that he thought of this, his whole expression became confused when he looked at Jia Yan. Is this a high-level genius? Maybe it's really bad. Otherwise, how could he defeat so many strong men at the second level, and also conceal his strength, and now he can fight 2 moves against me? The giraffe monster was almost stunned. When he provoked a high-level genius, not to mention the future strength of the other person who was destined to advance to the star level, just saying that there must be an extremely powerful force behind the other person was enough to make him lose his mind. No. Maybe there really isn't a strong person protecting him behind him. This kind of genius has such a strong ego. If there really isn't, A flash of crazy cruelty flashed in the eyes of the strong giraffe. I've offended everyone, so why not go all out and kill him now? After killing him, flee directly from the 132 star district. Even if there is some powerful force behind him, how could he find me if the genius battlefield is so big? Thinking of this, the strong giraffe suddenly had a ruthless attitude, especially when he thought that Jia Yan's real talent was probably a high-level genius. Being able to kill such a peerless genius made him feel happy in his heart. Above the starry sky, the giraffe monster turned into a ray of light and shadow, and hit hard in the direction of Jia Yan. Don't try to use the power of space, just give it to me. During the flight, this monster strongman directly used his own brainwave power. After using the power of environmental control, the strength of a semi-star level strongman directly suppressed Jia Yan. Just as Jia Yan was about to step into the subspace, his whole body tightened. This strong man's combat experience is indeed extraordinary. Although he does not have any special talents, his ability to control the environment cannot be underestimated. Now that he is suppressing it directly on me, he can actually make me enter the frequency of the subspace. Was directly interrupted. Jia Yan was shocked to see his body change from illusion to reality, and then the opponent's attack came. Every existence that can reach the level of a strong person is not that simple. This giraffe monster can reach the semi-star level. He must have seen and experienced many talented strong people. Therefore, for Jia Yan's subspace tactics, he can crack. Humph. Do you think I dare not confront you? The opponent's foot kicked hard, a faint light flashed in Jia Yan's eyes, and then a bright blue brilliance suddenly floated on the surface of his body. The entire starry sky was suddenly filled with patches of light and shadow and exploding flames. Jia Yan, you can actually fight me head-on. When the giraffe monster saw Jia Yan, he actually used his front feet and collided with his own attacking feet again and again. Although he retreated every time, and there were even blue fragments flying, it was an indisputable fact that he blocked his own attack. This is so shocking. This half-star powerhouse originally thought that any level powerhouse would be considered powerful if he could fight with him in 2 moves. However, he did not expect that Jia Yan opened his eyes today. A being who was even weaker than a strong person from the 2nd level could actually go head-to-head with him, a semi-star level strong person who was proficient in physical combat, in a head-on battle. Genius, this is a genius. The fierce look in the giraffe's eyes became even more fierce, but so what if you are a genius? I will definitely kill you today. The strong giraffe's attacks became more and more terrifying, and each collision could cause the blue material on Jia Yan's front feet to break into pieces. There are many blue fragments in the sky, and they exude a faint brilliance, which can be said to be extremely gorgeous. But under this gorgeous background, Jia Yan's disadvantage is highlighted, which can be said to be extremely dangerous. But now Jia Yan's eyes are getting more and more excited. Haha, that's right. This is the real battle. Fighting with a half-star strong man is indeed the most enjoyable. It is also the best way to improve your strength. Jia Yan, who had been fighting with the Venerable and the Sigwan strongman, seemed to have exploded his potential at this time. After constantly fighting with these half-star strong men, the knowledge he had absorbed before, as well as the combat moves he had learned, one move used it in one move. This move should be able to be resolved by using force. With this move, the rebounding brainwave power can be resolved. The more he fought, the more Jia Yan counterattacked. As for the giraffe, a half-star powerhouse, the more he wanted to kill Jia Yan, the more he found it increasingly difficult to kill him. Thanks to Book Friend, the weather is so beautiful. For the 500 starting coin reward, I also ask everyone for genuine subscriptions. Too many subscriptions were dropped during the Chinese New Year. Mobile phone users, please browse and read for a better reading experience. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant. Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 879. Jia Yan's specialty is rapid growth, and recently he has accumulated a lot after fighting one after another. Once it breaks out, it will be impossible for Jia Yan to control it. And now is the time to explode. Under Jia Yan's attack, the half-star strong man in front of him slowly changed from taking the initiative to attack, to being slightly at a disadvantage, and then to taking the initiative to defend. He is actually so strong. The strong giraffe's eyes almost popped out of his head. He originally thought that it was impossible for a sage to be compared with him. Moreover, when the war first started, although Jia Yan's fighting power shocked him, it was still impossible to fight him. But however, after less than 100 moves, the roles of the two sides were reversed, and he was beaten by Jia Yan. Are high-level geniuses so strong? Or, as for whether Jia Yan is a high-level genius, the current giraffe strongman has no denial at all, and at this moment, he actually thought of a possibility that he could not even think of. Although a high-level genius is unbelievable, the information and documents he has read tell him that it is basically impossible for a high-level genius to surpass 2 levels and fight with a half-star powerhouse as a venerable. And there is only one existence that can do such a thing. That is the top level standing in the entire genius battlefield, and each one is an earth-shattering legendary existence, top genius. Top genius? No, 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 it's impossible. After the strong giraffe thought of this idea, he shook his head and put it away. The emergence of top geniuses can be said to be legendary. Their existence itself is the core interest in the genius battlefield. Every top genius can definitely become a stellar power as long as there are no accidents along the way. He must be a powerful creature among the stellar level powerhouses. He even stepped into the ethereal galaxy level and became an existence that stands out among the heroes in the entire galaxy. When meeting top geniuses in the genius battlefield, they are absolutely friendly. It is even rarer for a top genius to die in the genius battlefield. This is because these top geniuses will remember the goodness of the genius battlefield after they become star level. This is just like the world's famous schools training students, giving many benefits to geniuses. In the future, when these geniuses become top figures in certain fields, they will feed back to their alma mater. And it is difficult to give out so many benefits, because top geniuses, even in the genius battlefield, are extremely rare. Impossible. He won't be a top genius, at most he will be a high-level genius among high-level geniuses. After going through the information about the top geniuses in his mind, the strong giraffe still looked unconvinced. The living legend appeared in front of him, still fighting for his life and death. Whoever this happened to would probably not believe it for a while. Fighting with me, are you still distracted? When he was thinking about these things, he heard Jia Yan in front of him suddenly shout loudly, and then the azure color of his front feet flashed even more brilliantly. A cloud of blood fell in the starry sky. The giraffe monster was actually hit by Jia Yan's blow on the soft part of its foot. Although it was not a serious injury, a half-star strong man was actually injured by a sage. This scene itself can cause sensational effect. But now there are no bystanders. You actually hurt me? Bastard, no matter what level of genius you are dead today. The strong giraffe felt severe pain in his feet, and the cruel look in his expression became more eye-catching. Although injuries are inevitable in battles between strong men, being injured by a venerable person is an unbearable humiliation for him. The two sides continued to fight, and the strong giraffe did as he declared, and instantly took the initiative in the battle. The reason was that he did not use all his strength before. Why do you need to use all your strength to fight against a venerable person? This was what he thought before, and as a result, Jia Yan's strength exploded. And now he used all his strength. Although he temporarily suppressed Jia Yan, he found that he could not kill Jia Yan in one breath. Don't worry, he is just a venerable. Even if he is really a high-level genius who defies the heavens, his endurance cannot compare with a real semi-star powerhouse. My endurance and physical strength are far behind. Far more than the average venerable. Even if he defies heaven, he is definitely no match for me. As long as we fight for a while, he will be defeated. The strong giraffe was not in a hurry and started fighting Jia Yan one move at a time. It has to be said that a half-star genius is a half-star genius. No matter how miserable his current performance is, he surpasses Jia Yan in terms of combat effectiveness and understanding of moves. With every collision, Jia Yan gains some new insights. It turns out that this way I can hit the enemy's weakest point. A large piece of my front foot was shattered by this move. Jia Yan felt the opponent's attack while defending. Then he learned more about the opponent's strength in his mind. Hey, this way we can make better use of the power of brainwaves. There is such a way to use it. Why didn't I think of it before? He is indeed a genius level, semi-star level powerhouse. Jia Yan felt many fighting postures that he could not feel because he was limited to the venerable level. In the previous battle with Bai Wangfu, both sides did not use their full strength. Now Jia Yan is fighting a life and death battle with this strong giraffe. He can experience more things. How is it possible that his energy is not exhausted yet? After beating again and again, the strong giraffe felt that Jia Yan's physical fitness did not seem to have declined much, but he himself had declined. Jia Yan also discovered this. His physical strength has declined? Okay, now it's up to me to fight back. Although Jia Yan can learn a lot from his opponent, he cannot let go of the opportunity to defeat him. When the giraffe monster saw that Jia Yan's physical strength was strangely powerful, a sense of fear arose in his mind, and he wanted to escape while he still had the advantage, but it was already too late. It turned out that Jia Yan pressed forward again and counterattacked again and again, leaving him with no chance to turn around and escape. Want to escape? It's too late. A flash of light flashed in Jia Yan's eyes, and then he attacked the opponent's body one blow after another. The opponent's defensive moves were also extremely sophisticated, which made Jia Yan's eyes sparkle. Unfortunately, the giraffe monster's physical fitness had dropped too much, and its moves were no longer so flexible. But in this way, Jia Yan can see more clearly. However, as the opponent's physical fitness continued to decline, Jia Yan's advantage became greater and greater. At this moment, the giraffe monster began to make messy movements. As a physical combat monster, his physical strength has always been better than that of ordinary strong men. How could he be suppressed physically? But this situation happened right now when we were fighting against the venerable Jia Yan. Jia Yan. I was wrong. Just when Jia Yan attacked again and again and the opponent showed signs of defeat, the giraffe monster finally accepted the reality and let out a wail. Jia Yan, we had some misunderstandings. The previous battle between you and the junior of my force was caused by the battle of geniuses. I shouldn't blame you for his death. Now I don't want to pursue it. How can we make peace? Sample. He was a little weak. Jia Yan's attack came, but he only blocked half of it. The other half fell on his shoulder, and another trace of blood appeared. Want to admit defeat? Unfortunately, it's too late now. Jia Yan looked at the opponent, then shook his head and continued to attack. Jia Yan. Don't bully me too much. Although my strength has been reduced, I can still do it with a few attacks on you at the end. Don't underestimate the strength of a semi-star powerhouse. Anger flashed in the eyes of the giraffe monster. This was the first time he begged for mercy from a venerable level opponent. However, when a powerful and semi-star level man begged for peace with a venerable, the other party should have been happy to accept it. But Jia Yan had an expression of disagreement. You must know that what he said is absolutely correct. A half-star strong man has many ways to protect himself, especially when the difference in strength is not too big. If he wants to escape, there are countless ways, and even if he cannot escape, if you want to give the opponent a fatal blow, it will definitely be earth-shattering, and you may even drag the opponent to death with you. Of course he didn't want to die yet, so he was begging Jia Yan for mercy at this moment. But Jia Yan ignored him at all. If you want to ask for mercy now, it's really too late to go to Shiyuan. Now that you know my true strength, you can't let you go. My strength, at least for the time being, cannot be exposed in this 132-star area. Jia Yan's eyes flashed with ferocious light, and then his attacks became even faster. There are patches of blood swaying in the starry sky. Boy, you found it yourself. The giraffe monster is also a bad-tempered being. At this moment, he was forced to such a point by a venerable person. After the determination surged in his expression, he actually started to fight for his life. The surface of the giraffe monster's body turned red, a large amount of power came out of nowhere in his body, and then exploded with one blow. This is the power that exists on the surface of my physical body. It is usually used as a defensive force. Now, die with me. The giraffe monster kicked Jia Yan with a pair of feet. As a strong man in physical combat, a large part of his strength is wasted on defense, but if he does not defend, he will easily die. Therefore, for a long time, the most powerful part of his body has been the defense on the surface of his body. Now this power was released like an explosion, but the price was that his internal organs could not withstand the use of this power and exploded in an instant. The use of this power was absolutely earth-shattering and earth-shattering. Sure enough, there is a trump card. When Jia Yan saw the opponent's attack, his expression suddenly froze. He knew before that the other party, as a semi-star powerhouse, should have some ultimate trump card, and now he has indeed used it. Bring it on. Please subscribe to the official version. Everyone has a red envelope for the new year. Bulletin: you gave up entertainment coding during the Spring Festival, but the only win was to reduce countless subscriptions, 555. Please subscribe to the official version and give you a little bonus during the new year. Thank you. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 880. This blow contained the grief and anger of a half-star powerhouse, and contained the power of a fierce attack at the last moment of his life. Although he clearly knew that there was still a long way to go, at this moment, Jia Yan seemed to see the feeling of stellar strength. Of course, the actual giraffe monster's attack was still far, far behind the powerful giraffe he had seen. But it definitely made Jia Yan's eyes flash with horror, and he was a little frightened. He just wanted to dodge, but the opponent's speed was much faster than Jia Yan, and he arrived in front of Jia Yan like an explosion. Moreover, the opponent did not dodge Jia Yan's forefoot that was stretched out like a counterattack. It hit him directly. Jia Yan found that his body was no longer defensive at all. Jia Yan's forefoot stabbed lightly and penetrated within his body. A large amount of blood erupted, and the opponent didn't stop much at all. Instead, with a ferocious look, he hit Jia Yan's body hard with a pair of feet. It was so fast that Jia Yan didn't even have time to react. Damn it! Jia Yan only felt as if he was directly hit by a planet. He was unable to resist this force and could not defend himself. The blue defense on the top of his head showed signs of fragmentation. An unprecedented terrifying force acted on his head, causing cracks to appear in Jia Yan's head instantly. But the blue defense is worthy of being Jia Yan's best defense. After one piece was shattered, the remaining parts suddenly became even more brilliant. Then the foot that hit Jia Yan could no longer move forward, and it only caused shock damage, but unable to further snipe Jia Yan. Hateful. After the giraffe monster discovered this, he cried out in sorrow, but at this moment, his body was stirred desperately by Jia Yan's invading forefoot. At the same time, a brainwave power was used, and a burst of energy caused his internal organs to burst into pieces. Luo Jingxian can't even be saved. He wanted to die with Jia Yan, but Jia Yan's blue defense exceeded his expectations. In the sky, after a sheet of blood mist, only the severely injured Jia Yan was left in the entire vacuum. The giraffe monster turned into a sheet of blood mist, with blood and pieces of flesh scattered everywhere in the sky. Finally dead. Jia Yan looked tiredly at the corpses around him. Even he felt weak at this moment. This was the first time he had fought such a tragic battle with an opponent. The wound on my head was just a little bit close to destroying my brain organs. Jia Yan felt his head with some fear, and then sighed slightly in horror. When a strong person reaches a strong level, he will always have some means to save his life. Jia Yan and this giraffe monster are not much different in strength. Although Jia Yan has improved while fighting, he is still too dangerous if the opponent breaks out. Azure defense saved Jia Yan's life again, and now piles of condensation quickly appeared at the wound, slowly condensing to repair the wound. Of course this process won't be too fast. Jia Yan looked around and felt that there were no living creatures observing, so he quickly flew back to the Edisha on the side a little weakly. Master, what a thrilling battle! I was scared as soon as she entered the Edisha. She flew up and spoke to Jia Yan with some concern. It's nothing. My injury will heal soon, but it will take some resources and time. By the way, go out and see if there are any usable parts of this strong man's battleship. If so, you can dismantle it yourself. It's time to repair the damage. Jia Yan felt dizzy, and the injury this time was extremely serious. If he hadn't been an evolved beast, and his strength had reached the level of a venerable, coupled with the blue defense, he might have fallen into a coma now. After confessing to Edisha, Jia Yan locked himself in a small area, slowly lay down, and repaired himself. Editha didn't dare to disturb, so she sent out a series of unmanned machines to fly into the starry sky, control the giraffe's battleship, and then dismantle it. Of course, this process was somewhat difficult, but with Edisha's mind and ability, there weren't many variables. In this starry sky, it quickly calmed down again. Except for the machines coming and going in the vacuum, there was no longer any feeling of life. No one would have thought that there had just been an extremely terrifying battle between powerful men in this starry sky. No one would have thought that in the previous battle, a venerable level person actually defeated a half-star level powerhouse. You must know that this is a genius battlefield. It is simply legendary that a venerable level person defeated a half-star level powerhouse. Things will happen. Jia Yan fell into a semi-coma-like state for a long time. Although he was unwilling to waste this time, he had no choice but to wait for his body to repair itself. After 3 full days, Jia Yan felt that the big hole in his head was barely repaired. The azure defense and liquid condensation were too powerful. Jia Yan felt that if he were an ordinary strong man, it would take more than 10 or even decades to repair the injury this time. It only took him 3 days to complete the preliminary repairs, which can be said to be very efficient. Edisha, have you dismantled the battleship? As soon as he woke up, Jia Yan walked out of the small area and asked Edisha. An instant later, a small light and shadow mosquito appeared in front of Jia Yan. Haha, Master, I have already decomposed it, and I have good news to tell you that this semi-stellar warrior's battleship is quite good. After the Edisha obtained some of its materials, the repair progress has been greatly improved. The day when I can meet you, the Master, in full condition is not far away. Looking at the little mosquitoes flying proudly in the air, Jia Yan was infected by him and couldn't help but smile. That's good. The time to discuss with the tornado forces is not far away. I still have something to do, so let's go quickly. Jia Yan didn't care about the almost broken battleship. When he saw the countless metals and various materials piled in the Edisha, he knew that the Edisha had already used everything it could use. And rare items were picked up. The huge 20-kilometer aircraft slowly took off again. For more than 3 days, it was impossible for any aircraft to pass through this starry sky. After all, the universe was too big. It might take countless years for the remains of their battle here to be discovered by other creatures. After the Edisha left this starry sky, all that was left was a mess left to be developed by future generations. Of course, some of the things on the strong giraffe battleship might also make other weak people a small fortune. Jia Yan didn't care about this. He was just immersed in the understanding of this battle and repairing himself. I don't even know the details of the opponent in this battle, but I think he is a strong man from some 132 force. I don't know if this force knows that I killed him. In the huge and empty Editha, Jia Yan crouched in a corner, meditating silently. After thinking about some questions, he stopped caring so much and focused his attention on a star map. This is a geographical star map of the nearby stars that he bought when he came out of the tornado force. This star map is relatively simple, but large celestial bodies such as black holes are still marked. Just far away from this tornado force, there is a black hole of a micro level. Should this be considered my luck? Jia Yan looked at a dark substance not far away in the star map, and a gleam of joy flashed in his eyes. Yes, this is the reason why Jia Yan came out of the tornado forces this time, the black hole. After thinking through the words of the powerful ghost, Jia Yan finally determined another path he would take in the future. The path he is taking now is actually very simple. In addition to his own evolutionary beast talent path, he is also following the path of that senior in terms of combat skills, but now he is thinking about one more thing. That is a way similar to a clone, using black holes. In other words, use gravity. But now, he is still unable to control gravity, and he does not have the talent to control gravity. The simplest way to do it is to directly target the black hole like a clone. Unlike the artificial black hole controlled by the clone, this time Jia Yan actually set his target on the real black hole. Master, the starry sky with the black hole has arrived. While Jia Yan was thinking, the childlike happy voice of Edisha appeared in Jia Yan's ears. Arrive. Jia Yan raised his head. Not long after, outside the huge body of the Aditha, the figure of the big mosquito slowly walked out of its bridge. Jia Yan came outside the starry sky. Surrounded by a familiar starry sky, twinkling stars, and a vacuum that cannot transmit sound, it is still so peaceful. But in this starry sky, only one starry sky looks different. Only a tenth of a light year away from the Edissa, there is a place that looks like an extremely dark starry sky. Not only is there no starlight, but even the vacuum itself does not seem to exist there. The entire space seems to be filled with that's a hard bite. Within the round area is the real destination of Jia Yan's trip, a black hole that is only the smallest in the starry sky. A black hole with a radius smaller than Schwarzschild. As soon as Jia Yan flew out of the Edissa, he suddenly felt an extremely terrifying attraction. This force was so overbearing that as soon as Jia Yan arrived here, his body was almost involuntarily sucked in the direction of the black ball. Fortunately, because the opponent was too small and far away, Jia Yan exploded his brainwave power to an extremely powerful level, which was able to stop the gravitational force. Will there be any problems with the Edissa? Jia Yan asked as he looked at the huge battleship on the side. Don't worry, Master, the Aditha has recovered a bit now. It doesn't matter here. The little light and shadow mosquito suddenly appeared next to Jia Yan and said with a smile to Jia Yan. But Master, what are you doing here? Do you want to attack this little black hole? This is impossible. Adisha asked Jia Yan a little weirdly. Thanks to book friend Yes Yang Chen for the tip. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 881. You must know that a black hole is not the kind of artificial black hole that Jia Yan's clone has seen before. A real black hole, even if it is the smallest black hole, is definitely not something that Jia Yan can shake now. No, of course I didn't mean it. Jia Yan shook his head. Then what are you doing here? Edisha was curious about Jia Yan's thoughts. Jia Yan looked at the black hole with astonishing gravity, and saw that the entire star field there was extremely dark, and no light could escape after passing through it. This power was so terrifying that even at such a long distance, Jia Yan felt that he could not resist this power. If he could possess this kind of power, let alone half-star level, or even star level, he would probably be able to run rampant. But Jia Yan currently has no means to obtain the power of the black hole. Edisha, I want to collect plasma here. Because black holes have strong decomposition capabilities, they will cause matter to decompose, and unstable plasma will also be produced. It is useful for me to collect it? Jia Yan said calmly. Collecting this? But it's a bit dangerous. I'll also use the Dissa to see if it can collect the plasma that escapes from the outside world. Edisha was a little embarrassed. After all, a black hole is a celestial body that can only go in and out. If you want to harvest the matter it decomposes, you need to go deep into a place where gravity is extremely terrifying. Master, what do you want to do with them? Aditha really couldn't understand what she thought about Jia Yan. My clone in my hometown once obtained an artificial black hole. I want to try to make an upgraded version, which requires a large amount of plasma, which this black hole can provide. Jia Yan spoke while resisting the power of the black hole. In just a short moment, Jia Yan felt an unbearable tearing sensation in his entire body, and the radiation from the surrounding particles also made him a little bit too much. After all, it is impossible for real living things to collide with nature. Jia Yan returned to the Edisha, and then saw the Edissa and started taking action. A black hole is a star that can only go in and out, but it still has Hawking evaporation, so there are a lot of radiation particles around it. And among them, if you go deeper, you will find plasma things. Edisha, if it's really impossible to enter, forget it. Safety is the most important thing. Jia Yan said to Edisha solemnly. Okay, I'll give it a try. Facing the most terrifying astronomical unit in the universe, Edisha also became serious and gave a series of orders to the Edisha. Jia Yan saw the Edissa slowly entering the gravitational range of the black hole, and then he saw that the surrounding space had a tighter feel. At this time, the entire Edisha directly entered a state similar to that before a space jump, distorting the entire space in front of it. Master, as long as the Edissa can stabilize the distortion of space, it can offset the impact of the black hole to a certain extent. I will calculate the values and escape directly when it is in danger. Edissa explained to Jia Yan some of what he was doing at the moment. Jia Yan took a long breath and then came to the bridge. Because the Edisha entered a special state that felt very similar to his body entering subspace, the space he was in was different from the surrounding space, and he felt the speed of things around him. It was too fast, countless particles collided, and were violently pulled towards itself by the black hole. He also saw the phenomenon of the entire matter being elongated. Although this place was still far away from the area where the black hole's true power was greatest, it was still extremely terrifying. Master, the capture work has begun. The Edissa began its capture work. The surrounding matter torn apart by the black hole was broken down into various particle states, and then some of the plasma was absorbed by the Edissa. This phenomenon is very strange, as if the gravity of an all-absorbing black hole affects the periphery, and a small black hole actually appears to snatch food. Jia Yan couldn't help but sigh. The Edisha was indeed a powerful aircraft, and it could also play a role in this environment. He believed that even in the Genius battlefield, there were only a few battleships that could do something similar. Master, how much is needed? I caught a lot in half an hour, but because the power consumption is too high, the Edisha is a little overloaded. After the whole process lasted for more than half an hour, Edisha asked Jia Yan nervously. Jia Yan looked at the capture data of the Editha, and then nodded. That's enough, let's go out. Okay, this was what Edissa was waiting for. In fact, he was the Edissa, and the Edissa was him. Now that the Edissa was operating overload, of course he was worried. The huge battleship had arrived very close to the black hole under the huge gravitational force. The pitch black that Jia Yan saw at this time almost blocked his entire line of sight. It would be a lie to say that I am not nervous. In front of this celestial body that I have only heard of in legends, even stellar-level experts need to be in awe. The Edissa was traveling slowly. It was in subspace as a whole, and the surrounding materials were being pulled and deformed, while the Edissa remained the same. Of course, even though it was in subspace, the Edisha was still affected. At this time, they felt that only half an hour had passed. In fact, the time in the outside world was definitely more than half an hour. Finally, the process went smoothly, and the Edisha flew out of the extremely dangerous environment and was within the range of the black hole's gravitational wave. Call. When leaving the warning area, Jia Yan couldn't help but exhale a long breath. Master, I have also collected some of the radioactive materials you mentioned. Just tell me how you want to operate them. The Edisha came to Jia Yan, and it was obvious that he was a little tired after this adventure. I'll give you some data, and you do what I tell you. Jia Yan tried hard to remember some artificial black hole data obtained by the clone, and then reported it to Edisha. In fact, Jia Yan himself has no idea whether he can create an artificial black hole. After all, although the artificial black hole of the biochemical empire is not an extremely rare technological object, the lovely Disha is not a technological ship. Jia Yan came here to give it a try. He just thought of this and came here to try his luck while his head was hot. Master, these are just what the Edisha can do. It actually involves technology in the field of gravity and space. It's a wonderful idea, but there are not many technical barriers. After listening to Jia Yan's data and description, Edisha suddenly showed some surprise. After getting Jia Yan's data, he understood the basic principles of this artificial black hole, as well as Jia Yan's construction method, which happened to be all what the Edisha can create, although not powerful, is still a unique idea. Okay, I'll trouble you, go try it. It doesn't matter if you can't do it. Jia Yan's compound eyes suddenly lit up when he heard that Edisha was actually able to try. Of course, it was normal to think about it in retrospect. The seniors of the light and shadow monsters in the past knew a lot about it. Although Edisha looked unreliable, she actually has as much knowledge as the predecessors of the light and shadow monsters, so it is not impossible to create this artificial black hole according to the Gord's drawings. The huge Edisha flew slowly and arrived on a desolate star. This is an interstellar material that is not occupied by forces. It is not a resource star, so it has not been exploited by the forces of Genius Battlefield. But it has an extremely huge volume, and is more like a planet than interstellar material. With a diameter of more than 1,000 kilometers, it almost becomes a round sphere due to the self-absorption effect. And when the Aditha's 20-kilometer-long body docked, it didn't look so huge. It just made the star feel like there was a giant steel beast. Master, I have done the preliminary work according to your comparison. Is this really okay? When the Edisha docked on this star, the sound of the Edisha was also transmitted to Jia Yan's ears. Just looking at his appearance, he seemed to be a little unconfident about Jia Yan's approach to artificial black holes. According to Jia Yan, plasma matter and various radiators are accumulated together, and then through space compression, etc., a series of technological changes, and adding some large matter things, can artificial black holes be produced? Even though Edisha felt that this was theoretically feasible through his own knowledge, he still didn't believe it. Whether it works or not, let's try it and see. Jia Yan heard that the other party was ready and stood up from the waiting state. Massive matter is at our feet. We will know the effect after running it once. Not long after, Aditha's huge body began to tremble, and then another arc of light appeared outside his body. The entire planet where the Edisha was docked showed a hint of shaking. At the bottom of the Edisha, a small material suction port actually continuously sucks in the star material below. Although the speed of this absorption is only a tiny bit compared to the entire star, the sustainable time is much longer, but it can be seen that there is a huge gap in this part of the entire star. What's even more frightening is that more and more matter is being swallowed, even exceeding the volume of the Edisha itself, but there is no sign of any matter being filled out. It seems that the Edisha is a huge glutton, slowly swallowing, slowly eating away at this star. The Edisha's feeding continued, and more parts of the star were eaten away. It wasn't until the entire huge star with a diameter of more than 1,000 kilometers was missing a hole, like a moon with a corner missing, that this devouring slowly stopped. Master, is this the man-made black hole you mentioned? It was actually successful. Inside the Edisha, Edisha was floating in the air, looking at a giant metal ball in the central area of the Edisha with some surprise. Beside him, Jia Yan was also there, but at this moment, his expression was also a little surprised. He was just trying it casually, but he didn't expect that the Edisha had such incredible technology to make what he had in his head. This chapter is mostly nonsense, don't take it too seriously. Haha. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 882. The high-level semi-stellar experts in the tornado force have been a little anxious these days. As the day of another force's genius battle approached in a few days, they found that the genius they invited, Jia Yan, still did not show up. Of course, they were anxious. I just said, we shouldn't put too much pressure on something like this without any guarantee. After all, there is no need for others to help us. A senior executive in the tornado force shook his head helplessly. He just said so, but every few minutes he asked the outside world about the methods of signal exploration personnel, which betrayed his true thoughts. Don't be anxious. I believe that Jia Yan will not go back on his words. Just wait. If he doesn't show up in one day, we will start with the younger generation in the force who are participating in the war. Another half-star powerhouse believed in Jia Yan and did not agree with his anxious colleague. Huh? There's a report coming, saying that they saw Jia Yan's battleship. Following the words of a half-star powerhouse, the eyes of several half-star beings in the entire conference room lit up. Not long after, sure enough, in the starry sky, a huge aircraft slowly arrived at the outskirts of the tornado force. Several semi-star level experts from the major tornado forces flew up to meet them. Master Jia Yan is late. As soon as a semi-stellar genius approached the huge aircraft, he let out a somewhat reproachful voice. What are you talking about? It's enough that Your Excellency Jia Yan is willing to help us. Another half-star strongman refuted him. Both parties pretended to be innocent and the other pretended to be evil. In short, the intention was to remind Jia Yan of the breach of contract. After they approached, the door of the huge aircraft opened, and a dark figure flew out. Haha, I'm sorry, I'm late because I was busy with something. Seniors, please don't blame me. It was Jia Yan who flew out. His huge mosquito body looked like it was covered with tiny scars for some unknown reason. This appearance made several of the powerful men who greeted him marvel. You must know that Jia Yan's strength is not ordinary. He actually suffered such injuries in his own battleship. It seems that he is indeed busy. Something special. Several sharp-eyed semi-star geniuses looked at each other, and they were a little surprised in their hearts, because when they saw Jia Yan before, they could always see the deep fear in each other's eyes. The other party was a venerable person, and it was normal for him to be wary of a half-star powerhouse. They had also observed that Jia Yan had deliberately not allowed his battleship to appear in front of their eyes, in order to prevent him from appearing in front of them. When there is friction with their tornado forces, they can use their space shuttle ability to go directly to the battleship and then escape. But now Jia Yan actually drove the battleship in front of them carelessly, and the intention revealed in his expression, although the fearful look was still there, was greatly weakened. Could it be that in this short period of time, his strength has improved again? Several sharp-eyed semi-star geniuses all showed similar thoughtful expressions. But they didn't ask, because even if they asked, the other party wouldn't be able to tell the truth. And no matter how fanciful they are, they don't think that even if Jia Yan is promoted again, he will be directly promoted to the same level of combat power as them. Okay Jia Yan, we have been prepared for a long time. Since you are here, why not leave now? A semi-stellar genius who ranks second among the tornado forces said something to Jia Yan. He was not too polite to Jia Yan. After all, even if he got to the forces that were fighting that day, he didn't know if he could catch up. Even if he caught up, he wouldn't have time to understand the strength of the teams participating in the battle. Big failure. Of course Jia Yan agreed. Not long after, several more tornado force warships appeared in the starry sky. Those half-star geniuses boarded the battleship, and then these battleships merged with Jia Yan's Edisha. Then this line of battleships, together with the Edissa, set off towards the vast universe like lightning. Jia Yan, I hope you don't blame Rudhang. This is the most hot-tempered semi-star powerhouse among our tornado forces. Just don't take what he says to heart. During the flight, a semi-stellar genius connected to the Edis's communication, seemingly coming to resolve the somewhat awkward atmosphere just now. It's okay, I won't be angry over this little thing. Jia Yan crouched in front of the screen, his expression not showing the slightest hint of anger. The other party took a deep look at Jia Yan, and then breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that the big mosquito really didn't seem to have any resentment. You must know that their mission this time has increased their leverage because of Jia Yan's unexpected foreign aid. If Jia Yan lost his temper and deliberately let the enemy out in the genius battle that day, then their tornado forces would have wasted all their efforts. It's better if you're not angry. I know how a mid-level genius can be so easily influenced by the outside world. This semi-stellar creature praised Jia Yan in a flattering manner, and then seemed to have just remembered something. Jia Yan, have you improved your strength in the past 10 days since you left? I think you give people the impression that it's different again. This is the question Jia Yan wants to ask most when he knows this group of semi-stellar experts. After all, everyone is strong. Although they are not even mid-level geniuses, they will still be a little curious and jealous if they see Jia Yan, a medium genius, actually improving his strength under his own watch. You know clearly that you can't compare, but you insist on comparing yourself with others. This is the bad nature of all intelligent creatures. It's probably improved a bit. Jia Yan nodded and answered ambiguously. The strength has been improved again. The half-star genius took a breath of envy, and then shook his head with a wry smile. I knew that the speed of progress of mid-level geniuses was beyond our imagination. Okay, Jia Yan. I won't disturb your rest, goodbye. After the other party finished speaking, he seemed a little lost and closed the communication. Master, if this guy knew that your improvement was not just a little bit of strength, he would probably be even more envious. Haha. Just the moment the other party ended the call, Editha's little light and shadow body appeared next to Jia Yan. Haha, we can't be complacent. Complacency is one of the original sins of failure. Jia Yan said he was educating Edisha like this, but in fact, there was a hint of pride on his expression. No one knows that during this period of time, Jia Yan has actually completed a major improvement in strength. For Jia Yan, this improvement in strength even means something different from previous improvements. You must know that every time Jia Yan's strength improved in the past, it was either due to his own talent and the improvement of devouring items, or it was due to the inheritance of his star-level senior. But this time, Jia Yan used his own method, neither improving his strength because of his talent nor his inheritance. Instead, it relied on the artificial black hole. Jia Yan lay prone on the spot, his brainwave power turning on faintly. In the subspace behind his body, a gap in space suddenly appeared. Then a huge suction force appeared directly in the Edisha. Within the gap, there seemed to be a terrifying black color, moving faintly there, as if an extremely terrifying black monster was going to devour everything around it. The suction force was so terrifying that even a small storm appeared inside the Edisha, and small objects almost flew up, trying to be sucked into the gap. Before the suction force reached its peak, Jia Yan turned off his brainwave power. The gap closed instantly. The small objects that flew up fell to the ground, making a sound. Although my physical strength has not improved much in the past half-month, with this small black hole and my space talent, the improvement in strength is amazing. If I really want to compare it, it is about twice as much. There was a faint sparkle in Jia Yan's eyes, and there was a hint of excitement in his expression. Master, you are amazing. In less than half a month, your strength has doubled. Now many half-star powerhouses are no longer your match. Also, Master, how can you operate this artificial black hole so easily? Yeah, it seems like it was done before. Could it be done by a clone? Edisha couldn't understand that after Jia Yan made the artificial black hole, he could directly operate it. Even the metal shell was thrown away immediately. This didn't look like someone who had never operated similar things. Jia Yan didn't answer, just smiled. He has indeed operated a similar black hole as a clone, but it is the black hole of the biochemical empire. Cannot be made from a real black hole, and its power and gravity cannot be compared with the one he made. With the experience of operating the clone, when he got the black hole with his real body, he was able to operate it very easily. Even after getting familiar with it for a period of time, his operating strength was even stronger than that of the clone. Perhaps Edisha still doesn't know how much my strength will increase if I operate this black hole. Jia Yan looked at the little mosquitoes jumping around on the other side and thought with some pride in his heart. Although Edisha felt that Jia Yan would improve his strength after getting this man-made black hole, she never imagined to what extent his strength would be improved. Because although the power of this artificial black hole is powerful, it is far weaker than a real black hole. Even Jia Yan estimated that it would not be able to suck a venerable person to death. So where does the improved strength lie? Haha, with the experience of being a clone, I have long been familiar with using this power. The power of artificial black holes is not strong, and its usability does not depend on strong gravity. As long as the power of the black hole is continuously released during the battle, and the gap in the subspace opens and closes, the gravity of the surrounding environment is strong and weak. Under this kind of interference, even the semi-star level experts are destined to gain strength. Big loss. And when the enemy is eliminated and we are rising, wouldn't it be a huge help to Jia Yan? Well, I'm really looking forward to it. Who will be the first one to let me use the power of this artificial black hole? Jia Yan's eyes were a little bright. It's a pity that it's impossible to borrow the power of a real black hole, even the smallest black hole I've seen before. But if I can borrow its power, even if it's a star level, I dare to give it a try. Thanks to the cold-eyed but not cold-blooded book friend for the 500 starting coin reward, and also to the cold-eyed but not cold-blooded book friend for the reward. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 883. What Jia Yan regrets is actually nothing to regret. After all, it is normal for him to be unable to master the true power of black holes. If he could master this, it would be outrageous. After the events of the past few days, Jia Yan's demeanor has become more calm. He has more confidence in his improvement in strength in the next few months, especially in the battle against King Urshan. Although he is not confident now, he will be more confident in the future. Time can definitely defeat him. Your Excellency Jia Yan, let me tell you where to go next. Just when Jia Yan was on the Edisha, a communication from an outside battleship came through and he started talking to him. This is exactly the communication from the second strongest person in the tornado force. Jia Yan remembered that his name was Taijin. He was a huge monster that could not be explained in words, like a combination of chaotic creatures. In short, he is very powerful, much more powerful than King Urshan. Okay, Lord Taijin, please tell me. Jia Yan replied respectfully. Seeing that Jia Yan respects him so much, Taijin is still very useful. After all, he is a middle-level genius. The genius battle we are going to participate in next is organized by a force called Weiqiang. This is a force that is more powerful than our tornado force. In this 132-star sector, they are also a medium-level force. So the battles held by their force include half-star battles. It is said that this time they invited an official star-level master from the genius battlefield to inspect, but I don't know who it is. Mighty. Jia Yan nodded slightly. Regarding the forces in the 132nd Star District, he had tried to make up for it before. He knew that the strength of this force was about average. Of course, even a medium-sized force was still stronger than the ones in the 251st District. Urshan is much more powerful. Moreover, This time it is actually another genius battle monitored by the official star-level powerhouse of the genius battlefield. Facing a star-level powerhouse, Jia Yan still feels extremely heavy pressure. Of course, the entire genius star, most of the geniuses in the domain will feel pressure when facing the officials of the genius battle domain. Fortunately, Jia Yan has no need to worry, because he has entered the genius battlefield through normal procedures and has nothing inappropriate. He has to worry about punishment from the official forces. There are several forces we need to pay attention to this time, and the difference between the rules and my Tornado Force Genius battle is. Tajan said a lot to Jia Yan, but Jia Yan mostly listened and then asked some questions that he didn't understand. After a long time, the exchange between the two parties ended. Then Jia Yan smiled slightly. This genius battle between powerful forces is actually held separately? And are strong people allowed to register repeatedly? Jia Yan thought for a while, and then analyzed some unique registration rules for this powerful genius battle through Taijin's words. Interesting. Jia Yan thought for a while with some interest, and then made a decision in his heart. The Weiqiang Force is located in the northwest corner of the 132-star area. As a force adjacent to the Tornado Force, its strength is stronger than the Tornado Force, but not much stronger. The most proud thing of the entire Weiqiang Force is that it can regularly hold high-profile genius battles, and some geniuses from other places often come to this Weiqiang Force to show their faces in the talent battle. On this day, the powerful forces welcomed waves of geniuses and powerful figures. Then the Tornado Forces haven't come yet? I heard that the genius battle they just held was quite interesting. How come they don't even come to the genius battle of our powerful forces now? I see, their brains are burned out. They think that by holding a somewhat interesting genius war, they will not participate in the genius war of our powerful forces. They are simply a frog in the well. Among the mighty and powerful forces, in the queues greeting foreign guests, Guanqiang several times talked about the mighty and powerful neighbors, almost always as a joke. The most famous thing about the Tornado Force is the wonder of tornadoes on his planet. The powerful forces will never believe that the other party has the ability to hold a genius battle event that is more famous than their powerful forces' genius battle. Ignore them. It would be a good idea if the Tornado Forces don't come. One of my brothers died fighting with their forces. If they do come, I will be heartbroken, a strong man from the second level said with gritted teeth. It's a pity. It seems that you are worried. I just received news that the Tornado Forces are coming. In the starry sky, a small fleet composed of powerful warships quickly shot towards a star area composed of several large stars. Okay, we registered in time, just in time. This fleet is the Tornado Force on the way. Among the leading battleships, a half-star strong man exhaled. They hurried slowly and hurriedly, and then they finally arrived at the powerful force, and through the long-distance communication device, they reported the name of the genius. Not long after, the Edisha where Jia Yan was located also received the message. Is it almost time to reach the powerful force? Jia Yan slowly recovered from his distraction. During this journey, he has been studying the artificial black hole he just obtained. Since the clone has already manipulated similar black holes, now he understands and uses it, and has successfully reduced many processes. Of course, there are some subtle differences between the clone and the real body, and the artificial black hole created by Jia Yan through the Edisha is also somewhat different. In addition, the material he provided has a mass that exceeds the artificial black hole controlled by the clone, so it takes some time to operate smoothly. In the past few days, Jia Yan has gained constant insights and even operated in the Edisha, making himself more and more familiar with the control of the artificial black hole. The surrounding battleships were constantly detecting that some special power surged out of Jia Yan's Editha and then disappeared, which puzzled them. Not long after, the star area composed of several huge stars appeared in the eyes of a group of battleships. Jia Yan came to the bridge of the Aditya and saw the starry sky where this powerful force was headquartered. The headquarters of this force, which is composed of 5 similar stars in total, looks more powerful than the tornado force. Moreover, the spaceships currently coming and going are far more than the genius battle held by the tornado force, which shows the prosperity of the powerful force. Welcome, everyone from the tornado force, you are late this time. When a group of spaceships from the tornado force arrived at this powerful place, a voice sounded. Jia Yan is very familiar with this kind of drama, because when he was in the Sci-Fi force at that time, he was played by the Urshan force in this kind of intimidating move. Of course, the Wuci force at that time could not bring any threat to the Urshan force, and this tornado force was the powerful enemy of the powerful force. 3.5-star level experts released powerful brainwave power and came to a group of spaceships. Their power was so powerful that they suppressed them so hard that it was almost suffocating. But when they suppressed them, among the tornado forces here, several equally powerful brainwave powers of semi-star level experts also shot up into the sky and directly collided with each other. Old friends from the mighty force, don't play this trick. We are here to give you face. The indifferent voice of Taijin, the second strongest person in the tornado force, resounded. The 3.5-star level experts seemed to be extremely afraid of Taijin. Taijin? This time the tornado forces actually asked you to lead the team. That's all, you go in. I hope your tornado forces won't cause trouble. You know, there is a genius war territory master who is in charge this time. Jia Yan was very relieved when he saw the scene on the Edissa. Compared with Wuci's force, which was suppressed by Urshan's force and had no way to do anything about it, this tornado force came to the territory of its old rival Wei Qiang's force and did not lose any momentum, which made Jia Yan feel a little emotional. In the starry sky, the fist is indeed the truth. A group of warships entered the mighty force. Although the tornado force was at odds with the mighty force, they had no real intention of causing trouble. After all, the star-level experts in the genius battlefield might have arrived now, but no one could do anything about it. Just discovered. Jia Yan had no way of discovering a star-level expert. He just felt a little uneasy after knowing that there was a star-level person. The battleship arrived at the port. What was different from before was that the strong men who come to this genius battle all live in their own battleships. Jia Yan, just have a good rest. We will go and sign up for you first. A half-star strong man from the tornado force said something to Jia Yan and left directly. Jia Yan waited in the EDC until all the half-star warriors in the surrounding battleships had left, and then he quietly went out. The creatures from the tornado force also saw Jia Yan leaving, but Jia Yan was not a member of their force and was not easy to control. And Jia Yan came to the registration office below the port, which is a city in the stars. The city is very large, with the entire planet reaching over 1,000 kilometers, almost like a small planet. This city occupies most of the entire planet, so of course it is huge. I'll sign up. Jia Yan came to a registration point and saw a few examiners there. Sign up for a venerable, right? Say your name. When an examiner saw Jia Yan exuding the power of a venerable, he clicked on the registration form in front of him without much surprise. He was following a program and inputting data for Jia Yan. Although in theory, the star talent competitions are all about players brought by forces to win the top rankings, no talent competition will refuse single registration. Those who sign up alone will generally not be able to obtain good rankings. Sir? No, I want to sign up for the semi-star level battle, Jia Yan responded to him with these words. That time Guanqiang had just skillfully clicked on the virtual form for the Venerable's registration, and his whole body was startled. Then he raised his head and looked at the ugly dark monster in front of him. Not only him, but also several other strong men at the second level at the registration point looked at Jia Yan in surprise. Are you sure? Guanqiang asked this time with an expression like an idiot. Of course, Mobile phone users please browse and read for a better reading experience.